All right, hope all is doing well. This video will be on section 7.3 and 7.5, and that will be perimeter area and volume. We'll come back and do 7.4 in another video. All right, so let's talk about the difference between the perimeter area and volume. So if we look at the rectangle, or look at a rectangle, the perimeter of the rectangle is just adding up all of your sides. You do not need a formula for the perimeter to calculate the perimeter of any shape, but the perimeter, some shapes do have formulas. So in this case, you're talking about a rectangle. You could find or calculate the perimeter by the formula of P equal to 2L plus 2W. But once again, you do not need a formula in order to find the perimeter. You can just add up all of the sides of your shape, and that will calculate the perimeter. So when you look at this shape, we're talking about the outside. That's your perimeter. That's how you calculate the perimeter. The difference between the perimeter and the area, first of all, we're calculating the shape, the amount of space that the shape takes up. So we're talking about the inside, where in the perimeter, we're trying to calculate the outside. In other words, the fencing of your house or something like that. When we talk about the area, we're trying to calculate the amount of space that a shape takes up two-dimensionally. So square footage, when you look for a home, you would want to know the square footage. That would be your area. And you do need a formula in order to calculate the area. Okay. Volume, you need a formula for volume, and that's the amount of space that a shape takes up three-dimensionally. Area is the amount of space that a shape takes up two-dimensionally. Volume is the amount of space that a shape takes up three-dimensionally. So that's why in this formula, we include the height. So area, the formula for the area is length times width. The formula for the volume is length times width times height. All right. Another thing to point out, the difference between the three, when you calculate it in the measurements of your perimeter will be the regular measurements. So once you're done calculating, if you're in inches, you'll stay in inches. If you're in feet, you will stay in feet. If you're in meters, you will stay in meters. When you're done calculating an area, it will be inches squared, feet squared, square footage, squared inches, or meters squared. Then when it comes to volume, once you're done calculating your volume, it will be cubic inches or cubic feet. Or meters cubed. So you will always know which one you're dealing with when you're talking about looking at your measurements. Once again, your perimeter, when you're done calculating, will be in regular measurement. Area will be measurement squared. Volume, measurement cubed. All right. So for the ones that need formulas, all you would be doing is using the correct formulas according to the shape that you have. Every shape has a different formula. And then for the perimeters, you can use your formula or you can add your sides. So let's look at a few examples. So he tells us to find the perimeter in the area. Now let's look at a rectangle. It's not necessarily drawn to scale. Just give you an idea of the shape that we're dealing with. So we're looking at a rectangle. We got 30 inches for the length, 20 inches for the width. Longer side is normally considered your length. All right, we can plug that into the formula for the perimeter. our length is 30. So that's 2 times 30 plus 2 times 20. 60 plus 40, that would be 100 inches. All right. Now, if I wanted to find the area, I'll use the formula of length times width. That's 30 times 20, and that would be 600 inches squared. All right. All right, so they ask us to find the area of the triangle. And don't forget, when it comes to the area of these shapes or the formulas that you need to calculate the area or the formula that you need to calculate the volume, always remember that these formulas do not change. You can find them throughout your book, or you can find them on Google, or you can ask Siri and Alexa. It does not matter. These formulas don't change. So you could ask, what is the formula for the area of a triangle, and find that. And that formula would be A equal to 1/2 base times height. So you need the dimensions for, or the measurements for your base, measurement for your height. Your base would be considered the 12 centimeters. The height of a triangle would be the 6 centimeters. Then you would plug those in accordingly. The 1/2 is a part of the formula. So that's where it came from. So that's 1/2 times 12 times 6. Half of 12 is 6. And then 6 times 6 is 36. Don't forget we were dealing with centimeters. So that would be centimeters squared. All right, let's do one more of those. Let's go with trapezoid. All right, so here we have a trapezoid. So we want to look at the area of the trapezoid. The formula for that is 1/2 h times a plus b. A and b are interchangeable, but normally this top side is your A, bottom side is B. So we're looking at A is 6 feet, B is 14 feet, and then H is 7 feet. So plug those in accordingly. Once again, the 1/2 is a part of your equation or your formula. And 7 is H. And we have 6 plus 14 inside of the parentheses. That's 1/2 times 7 times 20. If you want to throw it in the calculator, you can. If not, we can take half of 20, because all of this is commutative when you're talking about multiplying, I can take this 1/2 and multiply it times the 20, and half of 20 is 10, and then 7 times 10 is 70. And don't forget, this is area, so it'll be 70 feet squared, or squared footage, squared feet. So back to the multiplication. Multiplication is commutative, so it doesn't matter what order you multiply the 1/2, the 7, and the 20 in. You'll still get the same answer. All right. So once again, when calculating the area and volume, we'll do some volume in a second. But when calculating the area and the volume, it's just important that you make sure you use the correct formula that applies to the shape that you're dealing with. Okay, let's look at circles. All right, so when we're talking about circles, you could be giving your information for your circles one or two ways. They could give you the diameter, or they could give you the radius. But if you have one, then you'll automatically have other just because of the relationship that they have. So a diameter is going to be a line that goes from one point of a circle to the other point of a circle, but it runs through the center. And your radius is a line that goes from the center to one point on a circle. Your diameter is going to be equal to 2 times the radius, and your radius will be 1/2 of your diameter. So like I said, if you have one, then you have the other. So example, if my diameter is equal to 30, that means my radius is 1/2 that 30, which is 15. If my radius is 7, then I know my diameter. My diameter is going to be 2 times 7, which is 14. Diameter is always more than your radius. Diameter is always 2 times your radius. Your radius is always half of your diameter. All right, the circumference. Circumference of the circle. So remember when we're dealing with perimeter, you get to add up all your sides. Well, a circle, excuse me, does not have sides, but the equivalent for a circle to the perimeter would be your circumference. So if you want to know how far it is around the circle, you'll calculate the circumference, and that is 2 pi r, where the approximation for pi is 3.14. Pi is a run-on decimal, goes on to infinity. So the approximation that we will use is 3.14. Then the area of a circle is pi r squared. So the amount of space that a circle takes up can be calculated in this fashion. All right. All right, so this problem says give the circumference and the area, find the circumference and area, give the exact and approximation as far as the answer is concerned. So let's see. All right, so let's say if we had a circle and they gave us this diagram, 20 inches. And so with the line going from end to end, they don't have to tell you that that's the diameter. They assume you know because you see a line going from one point in a circle to another or going through the center. So they assume you know that that is the diameter. And if that is your diameter, that means you know your radius would be half of that, which is 10. All right. So the perimeter is 2 pi r. That's 2 pi times 10. And we can simplify this. Remember, I talked to you already about how multiplication is commutative and associative. I think I should say associative. Yeah, multiplication is associative. This example of the property we use. In other words, I can multiply the 2 times the 10 first. And so that'll be 20. Let me go back to blue. 20 pi. So when you've simplified your answer as much as possible with pi still involved, that would be your exact answer. So this is considered exact. So if your web assignments ask you for the exact answer, that's giving the answer simplified as much as possible with pi still involved. All right. So now to find the approximation, you will substitute 3.14, which is what we said we would use for the approximation of pi. You'll plug in 3.14 in for pi and multiply. So that'd be 62.8 inches, and that would be your approximation. All right, so for the area, we're going to flow with the same thought process of doing our substitution, then our simplifying and calculation, where we have pi times 10 squared. That is 100 pi. And don't forget, area is in inches squared. That will be your exact answer for your area, 100 pi. Now to find the approximation, multiply the 100 times 3.14. That would be 314 squared inches. And that would be your approximation for your area. 100 pi is your exact. 314 is your approximation. So finding the volume is the same as finding the area. You just have to use the proper formula according to the shape that you're dealing with. They could give it to you in shape, or they could give it to you in diagram. Let's look at a good one. Like that better. So here we have the radius of the base of the cone is 8 centimeters. The height of the cone is 12 centimeters. It wants to find the volume. So if I had to draw this, talking about a cone, my cone look jacked up. So it will look something like that. So our radius, 8 centimeters, and then our height, 12 centimeters. So we need the formula for the volume of a cone, and that is 1/3 pi r squared h. Well, we've already mentioned r is 8, h is 12. Once again, the 1/3 and the pi are part of the formula for the volume of a cone. So from there, you just plug in and calculate. Make sure you pay attention to the directions. See if they want, or see how many decimal places they want from you. Could simplify this down. I guess I can do that. 1/3 can divide into that 12. Leave you with pi times 8 squared, which is 64, times 4. 3 divided into 12 will leave you with 4. 4 times 64 is 256 pi. So once again, this would be our exact. Remember, your answer simplified as much as possible would be your exact answer. Simplified as much as possible with pi still involved, the symbol pi. Then throw in 3.14 as approximation, or just multiply, use your calculator, multiply 2.256 times that symbol of pi, and you will get 804.25. And then make room so I can write all of it. And that'll be cubic centimeters. And don't forget volume. Your final calculation, measurement, and volume will be in cube. All right. If I have a cylinder with height 4 meters and 6 meters. So make sure we're careful with what they gave us here. The height, which is h, is 4 meters. Diameter is 6 meters. The formula for the volume of a cylinder. Once again, you get these formulas from anywhere. Of course, they're in your book, but if you don't have access to the book is not in front of you, or you don't have the e-text, or whatever the case may be, you always can go to Google, Siri, Alexa. They're always the same. They don't change. So notice we need the area. I mean, not the area, the radius. They gave us the diameter. So we can calculate the radius by taking half of the 6, which is 3. So now we can plug in our values. That's pi times 3 squared times 4. 3 squared is 9, and you may not even do these parts because you might just throw them in the calculator. That's fine according to whatever it is that they're asking of you, but just giving you all the steps and how to get the answer. So 9 times 4 is 36. 36 pi is your exact. If they want the approximation, you go ahead and multiply 36 times pi. And had my calculator out. Need to pull it back out. And that would be 113.097. So if I were doing 2 decimal places, it'd be 113 times 10. And that is, I want to make room. Meters cubed. All right. And that is those 2 sections. That would be those 2 sections. Once again, make sure you're using your formulas properly. Use them for the proper shapes, and you will be fine. Make sure you try them out, see if any questions are generated, and if so, shoot me an email, and we'll go from there. All right, have a good one.